If you want to ask me, I'll say you've been paid because this story you're telling is the line of the story that the public wants to tell. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on Esteemed Television. My name is Augustine Ambe. I just read 2 articles on Mefo Info, and those articles make me want to do this video. And the purpose of doing this video is to say that if somebody creates anything, it has to have some utility to human life, a positive utility to human life. Okay, that's the only time anything that is created has value, because we value it in human terms. Okay, if you just create something because you want to create something for the sake of it, it doesn't serve anybody. It's even worse when it serves the enemy's interests. Okay, and I'm saying this because there are 2 articles that I read on Mefo. My attention was brought to these articles because I think a lot of people feel the same. Now, one of the articles says that inhabitants of let me not do that one first. Let me do this one where she says Amber fighters impose fresh lockdown in parts of the Northwest. And what she's talking about is she wanted to report that some fighters went to university in Bamenda and imposed a lockdown and shot some guns there, and she reported that it brought activities to a halt.
Yes.
And now, if you just want to report that for the sake of it, I guess you can. But when somebody then comes and says, but many say the move is outdated and overbearing on the civilian population, then I really start wondering, why are you saying that? Who is asking you to do that? And when you say that, you're saying that in what context? Because you have to always, especially when you're a reporter or you claim to be a reporter, you really should be having an interest that you serve. It is the interest of the public. The public that you're reporting on, not another public. Not La République du Cameroon's public, but the public of Ambazonians. Okay? Because it's good that this statement that I just read, let me read it again. But many say that the move is outdated and overbearing on the civilian population. Okay, but then the facts of the story don't bear that conclusion. Okay, because basically the report is that the fighters are said to be claiming the actions based on the military having recently executed a man and his 2 sons in Bambui. The man was set up by his brother following a family land dispute, land quarrel. Okay. So you're saying that the Amber Boys wanted to cause some disruption in normal activities because the people who are supposed to be protecting them went and murdered a father and his 2 children because somebody else went and instigated the military to go do that. Think about the story. Think about that story. Is that a law? Is that a lawful society, or is it a lawless society? So if somebody goes to the military or to whoever and report that somebody is doing something, you don't go and arrest the people and investigate it. You just go there with a gun and you shoot them. And when the helpless family members do the best they can in a war situation where over 40,000 of them have been murdered by colonialists, by French colonialists who have been colonizing the people of Ambazonia for 60 years now. For 60 years now. And what they do, what they use to impose this colonization is people that Gojidinka calls bandits. And I would accept Gojidinka's definition of the people ruling us than anybody else. The French call them, the government of La République. They are bandits. These are the people who the French have sent to come and terrorize our people. Look, let me tell you something. The French are the third colonial force to have occupied Ambazonia. First it was the German, then the British. When the Germans came to Ambazonia, of course they came forcefully as colonial masters. But when they left, you can see a legacy. You can see the CDC plantation. You can see the Prime Minister's lodge. You can see a lot of the roads. They left something that moved Ambazonia forward somehow. When the British came, they didn't do the same kind of physical work like the Germans did, but they actually worked with the Ambazonians to institute a peaceful process and a solid education, a world-class language where the Ambazonians can use to move themselves forward. And they were doing that. They started creating technical schools, having development agencies, and when these bandits came in, they started by looting. They looted in Limbe, in Ombe, they looted in all the public works, and since then they've been stealing for the last 60 years. Ambazonians are back in the Stone Age. They have criminals tooting guns around in an open war that the secret war was finally declared to be an open war over 5 years now, and our people are being killed and they're struggling left and right. In that situation, you are not looking at the military that went and killed a father and his children, and I'm sure they probably burned the place and went to the backyard, slaughtered all the livestock that was there. Because that's what they do. That's what they've been doing for 5 years now. Let me tell you something. I was reading that same story, and I heard that they went to that university because that's where the military have that's where they're housed. If there's one good thing that has happened to Ambazonia in these last 60 years, it's been that Ambazonians finally picked up the gun to defend themselves. Because for over a century now, nobody has defended them. Every single force that has come has been colonial. They've come to exploit them, and what they leave behind is really incidental. Okay? So if you want us to blame the Amber Boys for going to actually find a way to speak up, because if the government of La République du Cameroon has created a way that Ambazonians can even express themselves without being shot at, we will not even be where we are. Because to be honest with you, Ambazonians had even stopped fighting for their independence. They just wanted a breathing space. They wouldn't give them that. I was reading another story where what we used to call GRA up in Bamenda, up station. And here it's all now Pakubamele case, to a point where they've taken over Mendankwe, and the front of Mendankwe, I'm trying to think if he's still alive. So please, if you're going to establish a newspaper that serves the people's interest. Don't establish a newspaper where look, if you want to ask me, I'll say you've been paid Because this story you're telling is the line of the story La République wants to tell. La République du Cameroon wants people fighting for their freedom to be classified as terrorists when they are actually the terrorists in Amazonia. And that's what you're trying to do. That's what you, Mefo, and your agents are trying to do. But many say the move is outdated and overbearing on the civilian population. In fact, that is even better, because here's what you talked. You described the other story. You said something worse. Yeah, here's what you said. Like in most parts of the Anglophone region where the separatists operate, they had administered the local populations with an iron fist, instituting torture and other barbaric methods. Really? Really?
Does the United States see Ambazonian fighters as terrorists? Consider that's how they are referred to by the Cameroon government. Does the United States see Ambazonia fighters as terrorists? My name is Tama in Douala.
Yeah, that's one of those. That's one of those eternally philosophical questions, isn't it? Because one person's terror is another person's freedom fighter. How I remember that from the old Soviet days. Here's what the United States government, again, when I was in the government, we referred to the fighters in Ambazonia as secessionists. We did not call them freedom fighters. We did not call them terrorists. We called them secessionists.
Can there be any other barbaric methods other than what La République du Cameroon imposed on its own citizens and have imposed even worse on Ambazonians?
What will you say are some of the action during President Paul Biya's leadership that might have made him lose points within diplomatic circles in the United States?
That might have what?
Make
what kind
him
of points?
to lose points at the...
well, do we have 3 hours?
Of course, just make a summary, just a brief summary.
Now, the other story that maybe Mefo want to trumpet is the story that says, and the heading says, inhabitants of more Oku villages chase away Amba fighters. Inhabitants of other Oku villages chase away Amba fighters. Let me say this. I saw a video of some women protesting in Oku. When I saw that video, I looked at it and I heard this woman saying, "Oh, Amba, move out. Oh, it's too much." But what was really strange, when I was looking at the video, I was thinking, are these women going into the woods or into the bush to go chase these Amba boys out? Or why are they more on an isolated road? Why were they on an isolated path instead of protesting like our people usually do? Because when our women protest, when our citizens protest, they protest on Commercial Avenue.
Bamenda Commercial Avenue, the women of Bamenda come out.
They protest on places where other people are seeing them. They don't protest in fear. And the more I looked at that video, then it looked like it was staged. It was staged. And the story that came back said, yes, it was staged. Okay? And you know why it's staged? It's staged because La République, with its Incredible B, supported by all kinds of foreign governments, trained by them, came to Ambazonia and they want to defeat the will of the people. And just the will of the people has said no. And so they're looking for different ways to break the backs of the Ambazonian people. It's not been succeeding. It's not been succeeding.
We have seen examples from the past where you might have overwhelming military force on one side, but the spirit of the people just does not give up. It goes on and on and on. And finally, the people wielding the military force are fatigued, they stop, they go away, they run out of solutions. I mean, we can go back, frankly, to the American War of Independence against Great Britain. And then, we could talk about Vietnam, of course, and most recently we can talk about Afghanistan. You had the greatest military power in the world, the United States of America, working with an Afghan government that was well supplied, well armed, and at the end of the day, look who wins. The same thing with Vietnam. So as long as you have a population that is dedicated to a certain cause, then another military force coming from, another part of the country, it can win battles, but as history has shown, it seems like it will not win the war.
And so, Mimi Mefo here wants to tell me that the people of Oku love their lives so much, and the army is treating them so much better, that the Amba boys, who have finally given some respect to Ambazonians by fighting back. And nobody is going to say that the Amba boys don't have faults. I'll be the last to say that. Because in every struggle that you've gone to, somehow the enemy has always done things that make the people defending themselves fight back in ways that sometimes it hurts their own community. But it's a little hurt in order to bring a bigger good. Okay? And I'll say this, I've given an example on this channel before, that in South Africa, the South Africans themselves had to turn to necklacing in order to stop the apartheid system recruiting from amongst themselves. It's very funny how when Mimi Mefo said that, she did not put a picture of people facing and say, here we are, we are the people actually chasing out the Amba boys. She put people facing back. Doesn't want to show the front. And yes, people don't have guns are able to go and chase Amba boys who have guns. You believe that? So stop manipulating us, please. Stop manipulating us. If you want to create an information network, like you call it, create it to benefit the people of Ambazonia. Otherwise, they would rather be left alone. Okay? Because you are not in your own country today because you were harassed also. Then what about people whose villages have been burned, their citizens killed, and before that they had no rights? And you're sitting in Germany wanting to pass judgment on people who are suffering torture for over 60 years now, and they're fighting back. Yes, if you put them in a cage, yeah, they'll fight and they're fighting back, they'll hurt some people. But please, just leave them alone if you have nothing else to contribute. I made some notes here on certain things I want to tell the Ambazonian people. That our enemies come in all forms, each of them doing what they are paid to do. You, Ambazonians, are the only people who are being killed. And all the people who are killing, who are reporting, they're all mercenaries because they're doing it for pay. They're doing it for pay by the French. They're doing it for pay by the bandits who have been empowered to come into our land. Because the people of the Republic really have nothing to benefit in Ambazonia. It is our mineral wealth. It is our fertile land. It is other people who want to own what we have. Okay? Colonialists have left Africa for a long time. even those who are still there don't do it like the French do. The French still do it like we're in the I'm trying to look at what century to go. Because here you come, you meet a people who speak a language that's more superior than the French. The English language, there's no doubt about that. You want to make them go learn French language, which is a language of dictators, a language of poverty in Africa. The only language I have coup d'etat. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and we were looking for another word for coup d'etat. You wouldn't have it in another culture. A very violent culture. You want to come and say, give up your civilization, give up everything, give up your advancements, and start speaking this barbaric language. And you want them to start obeying top-down laws. That's what civil law is. It's a top-down. It's a command law. You want people who live freely to start living under a command system commanded by bandits who are paid to come and do that, who don't know how to live with anybody else.
I worked very hard to try to set up a contact group. Unfortunately, there was one key international partner that was not interested in participating in the contact group.
So Ambazonians are fighting a just fight. It is a just fight against a brutal colonizer by the French using what Gojidinka calls bandits to terrorize and rob the people of Ambazonia from 1961 to today. It's been over 60 years if you really calculate. Okay? Each of the two colonizers in Ambazonia, the Germans, what I'm trying to say, each of the two previous colonizers, the Germans and the British, left something. The French came and it's take. Our society that was very democratically advanced, now we have our leaders appointed and they come talking to us in foreign languages. You cannot go to your council office or to your you can even go to the hospital and speak in the language that you know. You have to have an interpreter to talk to your governor, to talk to your leaders. What kind of a society is that? Only animals would accept that. But Ambazonians brought themselves close to animals and now they're fighting back, and you have people who create newspapers waiting for Ladipold to come and bribe them so they can come and say, oh, they are terrorists, oh, they are worse. Is there anybody in Ladipold that's worse than Ladipold's government?
Of course, just make a summary, just a brief summary.
You know, I want to tell the Ambazonians that we've learned the lessons of the past 60 years from 1961. We've learned those lessons. We've also learned the lessons of in the last 4 or 5 years when they came and declared war on us, burnt our entire territory. They were going out to starve us. Looking at what is happening in Mendankwe and in other places, they are trying to depopulate us and repopulate the land with their own people. Ambazonians have said no. La République du Cameroon is very, very frustrated right now because they've shot everything that could be shot, and now they're going to neighborhoods and picking out families and wiping them out. Your reporter here is reporting with very little care about your situation. But I will say that we have also learned lessons in this very short time that they declare war on us. Some of the lessons are that we have very good fighters. We haven't won this war yet, not because we can't fight, and not because we don't have the means to fight, but because we've been disorganized. That's why we have been disorganized. I can see a lot of organization going on with the fighters on the ground. You have people like Mefo come and say, oh, you are disorganized. You are worse than their genocide military. But it's a lie. It's a lie. You defeated B. You defeated B. They used to just go around like they own the place. And right now they drive and they are afraid. They've declared victory many, many, many years. Every year they declare we've won the war, stop. And then you see one of our boys take out a battalion on the field. So we don't lack fighters and we don't lack means to fight them. And the boys on the ground are organizing, and other people, other Ambazonians, wherever they are, should start also organizing, because once we are better organized, we will win this thing very shortly. La République knows that. The French knows that.
The cause of the Anglophones, on the one hand, is absolutely just. The mechanisms that are being used by both sides are absolutely unjust. And I guess the most frustrating thing is that at one point at least, it would not have taken that much on the part of the Cameroonian government if they had been serious about addressing the root causes of these issues to have ended it. But instead, because of, I have to say it was bad faith, that they tried symbolic measures to end the problems. And as a result, hundreds of thousands have suffered, thousands have died, and the misery goes on and on and on.
Ambazonians are the only people who have been speaking up. They are the people who gave La République their multi-party. We are the people who have liberalized the place. I remember one time, Chiroma went on television telling his country people, oh, don't put secessionists on television. We liberalized. The Ambazonians liberalized La République's television. Otherwise, they will not be able to speak freely. Because while Chiroma was saying that, Ambazonians created SCBC, and SCBC was telling the story to our people. That cut them short. The Ambazonian, the freedom fighters, are the only people who are giving us part of our humanity, because part of our humanity is to speak up and defend ourselves. I'm glad about what the Ambazonians are doing, and Mefo should go to sleep.